Even elite athletes need support to reach their goals, to go further than those before, and to leave sport better for those after. Athletes Can represents members of Canada's senior national teams who compete at multi-sport and world championship events. Our mission is to speak with one powerful voice to advocate for an athlete-centered sports system where athlete rights are respected, athlete concerns are heard and acted upon, and where athletes influence key decisions made in Canada's sports system. We develop athlete leaders who influence sport policy and inspire a strong sport culture. We're a safe and inclusive place to share your perspectives and concerns on the issues you care about. And together, we initiate and sustain changes. We were the first organization founded by national team athletes for athletes. We've been global leaders in athlete representation ever since. Join Athletes Can. This is your home. Atteindre leur but, pour aller plus loin que ceux et celles avant eux et pour laisser un sport meilleur à ceux et celles qui les suivront. Athlète Can représente les membres des équipes nationales seniors du Canada qui participent aux manifestations multisports et championnats du monde. Nous avons pour mission de parler d'une seule voix puissante en faveur d'un système sportif centré sur l'athlète, où les droits des athlètes sont respectés, où les préoccupations des athlètes sont entendues et prises en compte, et où les athlètes ont une influence sur les décisions clés qui sont prises dans le milieu sportif du Canada. Nous formons des athlètes leaders qui influencent les politiques du sport et inspire une solide culture sportive. Nous offrons un endroit sécuritaire et inclusif pour partager vos points de vue et préoccupations sur les questions qui vous tiennent à cœur. Et ensemble, nous suscitons et réalisons des changements. Nous avons été le premier organisme fondé par les athlètes des équipes nationales pour les athlètes. Depuis, nous avons toujours été des leaders mondiaux en matière de représentation des athlètes. Joignez-vous à Athlète Can, vous y êtes chez vous.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, Laurence.
Morning.
Everyone, welcome to day 3 of the national team trials here on Lake Banook in Nova Scotia. Joining me is Laurence Vincent Lapointe this morning for an exciting set of finals. We'll start by apologizing. We had a little bit of a technical issue for this first final that went down a few minutes ago, the Canoe Kayak final 3, and we do have the results for you that we'll be able to share. But after we do that, we'll have an incredible set of finals coming our way with the women's C1 500 meter final, the men's C1 500 meter final, the men's K1 500 meter final, and then the women's K1 second 500 meter final. Then we'll move into a set of B and C finals for similar events, and then wrap up with some of a few additional para races before the athletes go into their crew boat events later this morning and afternoon ahead of tomorrow's finals. So really exciting day. We'll start by giving you a bit of a preview, a recap of what happened this morning. So we had the para kayak final 3 that went down, and Gabrielle Ferron-Boyou from Rideau took the win in that race again, similar to yesterday, a time at 48.3. Balmy Beach, Stefan Samoila came second in a 55.2, and Ottawa Rivers, Brianna Hennessy came third in a 58.3. So really good start to the day. As you can see on your screen, it's beautiful conditions out there on Lake Banook at the moment. And then we're getting ready to get underway in just about 3 minutes with the second race of the morning, with the women's C1 500 meters. So Laurence, I guess we have the start list here for
yeah.
You've competed many times, so I'll let you go through the start list.
Thank you very much, PL. So this morning we have in lane 1, Marley McIntosh from Scotia. In lane 2, Anna Roissir from Lac Beauport. In lane 3, Julia Lily Osende from Micmac. In lane 4, we have Sophia Jensen from Cascade. In lane 5, we have Katie Vincent from Mississauga. In lane 6, we have JC Grant from Chima Aquatic Club. In lane 7, we have Sloan from Chima Aquatic Club. In lane 8, we have Jessica McKay from Sequoia. And in lane 9, we have Lava Carew from Sanobi. Oh wait, sorry. I said Scotia. It's Mascot.
Yeah, thanks, Laos. And great to see those athletes. We saw a number of them racing the 200 meter yesterday. Similar names in this final, but a little bit of a longer rate. Tell us what you used to think about lining up for a 500.
Honestly, for a 500, it is. I usually just focus on knowing when I will want to pick up and how hard I want to go in the first half. So right now I'm assuming every one of them are just focusing on themselves, making sure they have very efficient and strong strokes and keep enough energy to finish this race with all the power they have.
Well, thanks, Laurence. And as you can see, we have Marley McIntosh, lane 1, closest to the right-hand side of your screen, and then Ava Carew from Canoe on the left-hand side in the blue boat. So it should be really, really exciting race here. Longer than the 500, than the 200 from yesterday, so different strategies at play, and the athletes are in the blocks and getting ready to go. As you can see, those white flags be raised, so the starter will have the race and call the start right in just a little bit. This is a good setup race for the C2 500 meter, the Olympic distance that we'll see tomorrow for the final for these athletes.
And these ladies on the line right now, they're all amazing athletes, right? They're all really, really good, and this race is not won at the start. Like I often say that, it is true. It's a really difficult race, and they have to finish it super strong. So I'm sure everyone's going to give everything they have and push. So yeah, we can see Katie and Sophia seems to have had a really, really good start there. And knowing them, they're going to fight it out until those last few meters. But we can see Anna Rossier in lane 2, very close by. And in lane 6, we have JC Grant from Chima pretty closely behind too.
Yeah, so great start by these athletes. That you can see strong, powerful strokes, setting into the right rhythm in the middle of the race here to maximize the glide of the boat. Looks like Sophia took it out really hard in the first half here, so we'll see if she can hold on. She's typically a fast starter, but we know Katie has a strong finish in the second half of races. So really interesting to see what's going to happen as we get here to the 200 meter mark. So 200 meters to go. It still looks like Sophia has a bit of a lead, half a boat or just a nose on Katie as they're coming through, and close race here for third with JC Grant currently leading the charge at Anna Rossier, making some moves to come back on her. So it'll be exciting to see who the podium places end up being.
Indeed, and we can see those strokes are really, really strong. Everyone is moving super well with their boats, and right now they're starting to feel the burn in their arms. So it's about who can keep it up the most. And some of them have more experience than others, so we will see who's going to try to make a move during those last few meters. And we're coming up to the line very, very shortly. We have Katie with a slight lead, and seems like she did come back to get first place, and then it seems maybe wow, yeah. That was a very, very short, like between Julia and JC Grant for third place. We will have to check, but I believe Julia Lilia Sande from Micmac did get third. And yep, I don't know. We'll see.
What a great race, and you're looking at those two athletes. They'll team up in the C2 a little bit later, Sophia and Julia. But what a great finish here from these two top level athletes in the world. And again, just for third place here, so close. But I think you might be right, Laurence, with the last stroke and the last lunge from Julia, just overtaking JC.
Yeah, that last one stroke is very important, and this is where experience really comes to play. Sometimes you see athletes who have raced more and they know exactly when they have to do that stroke, and maybe this is what happened to Julia, and we will have to check on the finish times. But it was a very impressive comeback from both Katie and Julia, and even JC Grant. They all did really, really well.
Yeah, and great race from all these athletes. As you can see, a mix of lefts and rights, which is good to see for the depth of the program and thinking about C2s and C4s. So great to see that we have athletes from both sides getting ready to kind of take it to the next level and through the summer. We're getting ready to get underway here in the men's C1 500. So races are every 5 minutes. So we'll have some good racing to broadcast this morning, and we'll come back with the results when those become available. But in the meantime, we have here in lane 1, Brett Himmelman from Masqua. In lane 2, Foster Salpeter from Point Claire. In lane 3, Tyler Laidlaw from Sakawa. In lane 4, Craig Spence from Chima, coming second yesterday in the 1,000 meter. In lane 5, Connor Fitzpatrick, our winner from the 1,000 meter yesterday. Alex Planteux in lane 6 from Lac Beauport. In lane 7, Andrew Billard from Masqua. Lane 8, Matt O'Neill from Rideau. And in lane 9, Austin Pigeon from South Niagara. Jumping in the A final here in the 500, where he was at second place in the B final yesterday in the 1,000. So different distances suiting different athletes a little bit. But similar field to what we had yesterday in the 1,000 meter final. So we'll see if one of them can change and upset the field here in a bit shorter race. And we have a start here in this senior men's C1 500 meter A final.
And we can see some athletes had a really strong start where it seems like Alex Plumter from Lac Beauport did maybe get within the 3 first with Craig Spence and Connor Fitzpatrick. So it's a pretty tight race for the first place. Well, actually, more than that. There's everyone's very, very close, and those athletes, they're super, super strong here, and are hoping to get on that podium. It's very important for them.
Yeah, and a mix of experience here. Again, the Olympic distance in C2 has now gone down from 1,000 meters to 500. So for Paris, so this event is a good foundation towards the C2 500 that will take place tomorrow. But so far, great start by Craig, Alex, and Connor, and Tyler here as well. Just really putting out a good first half. Looks like Connor might be just a little bit ahead, but those athletes are all making moves here to try to push the pace, with Andrew Billard on the outside as well. So strong second half needed here to determine who's going to finish in the top 3.
Yeah, and this is exactly in this race that we will see who's able to translate their experience of the 1,000 meter to a shorter distance, which is a different strategy, but you have to really make sure your race plan is on point, and this is exactly where we will see if it's working for them or not. So coming shortly to the line, and it seems like Connor is in the lead, and very tight race.
Looks like
for the
Andrew Billard may have squeezed second place here in the 500. But so close with Tyler and Craig and Alex. We'll have to wait for the result to call this out. But what a great race from all these athletes here, duking it out in the 500 this morning. And you can see Alex is totally spent here, laying on his boat, but safety is right there very quickly to grab him and ensure that he's safely brought back onto shore. So thanks to those volunteers out there that are ensuring all of our athletes are safe. But looking here at the finish, so Connor clearly taking the win. But second place here, it looks like Andrew, then Tyler, then Craig, and Alex may have shot a little bit early there, but so close, and we'll have to wait for the results to really call this out.
And I know from experience that Alex right now is probably frozen stiff, because right now it's still about very low 3 degrees maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's 5 degrees out there for folks who are wondering, and light winds at 4 kilometers an hour for the southwest, and it should be going up to 10, but a little bit of rain later today, so for sure Alex will need to warm up again and just make sure that he's all good and cooling down before he resets and thinks about some C2 this afternoon that he has coming up with Tyler.
Yeah, exactly. Having to race twice in the same day, but also following the water can be difficult. So we will shortly be doing the men's K1 500 meter senior A final. It will be so it will be in 2 minutes. I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we might get a slight delay here as they recover Alex from the water in his paddle, but here's the start list for the men's K1 500 meters. Alex Canning from Banook in lane 1, Nick Matviv from Balmy Beach in lane 2, Vincent Jourdain from Trois-Rivières in lane 3, Pierre-Luc Poulain du Lac Beauport in lane 4, Simon McTavish from Mississauga in lane 5, Cameron Lowe from Balmy Beach in lane 6, Craig Johnson from Zenobia in lane 7, Ian Godet from Banook in lane 8, and Mitchell Barron from Burloak in lane 9. Apologies for the graphics a little bit, so you have to guess which clubs they're from if you don't know, but it's a fun little puzzle for you at home this morning. And yes, we're getting ready here. A number of these athletes would have raced in the 1,000 meter yesterday. Lots of mix of experience, and certainly will be an exciting and fast race here in the fastest 500 that we have today on the racing calendar.
Yeah, you can expect a very big fight. This race is important because for men's kayak, 500 meter is their K4 distance, and seeing as it is a very important distance for them, they have a lot of things to prove today, and so it seems
great
like
start here.
Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to say, great start here from the middle lanes, as we can see Simon really taking out hard, and Nick Matviv down here in lane 2. Pierre-Luc Poulain in lane 4 are having a good start as well. As we know, the 500, you only get one chance to make a move, so these athletes all know when they're going to really kick into high gear after a good start. So it should be exciting. The second half is really where this race is going to take place, and then we'll see the athletes who have more 1,000 meter experience being able to keep their pace a little bit longer versus some of the sprinters that may be able to accelerate and chuck the field a little bit quicker.
And it seems like, aside from the 3 we've named, so Simon, Nick Matviv, and Pierre-Luc Poulain, there is also in lane 3 Vincent Jourdain, and in lane 8 Ian Godet, staying pretty close and making sure they don't lose the pack. So it will be we'll see who gets to keep up their pace and even push their pace in the last few 100 meter. Actually in the last 100 that we just hit. And we can see the 3 leading athletes are really pushing the pace. Can see Simon McTavish seems to be coming first, and then Pierre-Luc Poulain and Nick Matviv third. And for fourth, pretty close. Yep.
Really big comeback here from lane 6, actually, who had a really, really strong second half. Cameron Lowe pushing the pace in the second half and making a big finish, coming from the back of the field to a 4th or 5th place finish here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so really strong second half here for that athlete. In the meantime, we do have the results from the senior women's C1 race. So Katie Vincent from Mississauga did take the win in 2:12.8. Sophia Jansen in 2:13.2 was in second place, so about 0.4 of a difference. In third place, Laurence, you were correct. Julia Liliosende did take the third place, from Micmac Aquatic Club in 2:17.0, followed by Chima's JC Grant in 2:17.2. Fifth place was Sloan McKenzie, 2:18.7, followed by Anna Roissir of Lac Beauport in 2:19.1, and then Jessica McKay from Masqua, Ava Carew from Zenobia, and Marley McIntosh from Masqua completed the field. So great final there from the athletes, and great to see on the screen at the moment the athletes, just the camaraderie at the end of the race, and being able to see a good result from these athletes who train and compete against each other all the time.
And it
we'll also
seems
cover
like
the results from the men's canoe race before we jump into the women's kayak 500-meter final. So Connor Fitzpatrick did take the win in a 155.3. Andrew Billard from Masqua did come second in a 156.7, and Tyler Laidlaw third place in 156.8. So really close for second place there. Chima's Craig Spence was fourth in a 157.2, and Matt O'Neill came in fifth with a 159.8. So great race from these athletes rounding up the top five as we get ready here to get underway in the women's K1 500 meters that you see on your screen. Athletes lining up for the second final. They would have raced a first final of this event yesterday, so this is the second time they'll be lining up for a 500 meters, as this is their Olympic distance for all their boats now on the Olympic program.
And so in lane 1 this morning, we have from Micmac, Grace Webby. In lane 2 from Rideau, we have Toshka Beshara. In lane 3 from Rideau, we have Natalie Davison. In lane 4 from Chima, we have Michelle Russell. In lane 5 from Chima, we have Riley Melanson. In lane 6 from Rideau, we have Madeline Schmidt. In lane 7 from Rideau, Maren Bradley. In lane 8 from Cenobi, Jessica Hogg, and in lane 9 from Balmy Beach, we have Courtney Stott. So all great athletes, very strong, and a lot of experience on the line. And these ladies, it's not their first race in this distance, like you mentioned. They did one final yesterday as well. And so the start has been given.
And the big difference here in this field, you wouldn't see the second place finisher from yesterday, Andriane Langlois, who pulled out to focus on some of the other races this weekend. But our winner, Michelle Russell, from yesterday is competing here in the red boat in the middle. So it should be an exciting race here as they're underway in the second final of the K1 500 meters.
And it is a very, very big fight for the first place. Very close athletes with the lane 2, Toshka, lane 3, Natalie Davison, and lane 4, Michelle Russell, fighting it out for first place. Michelle has a lot of experience in this race. It is a distance she masters really well, so usually you can see that she'll have a lot of energy to keep and push till during the second half of the race. So it will be interesting to see who can keep up and push with Michelle until the end. And it seems like Natalie Davison in lane 3 is trying really hard. And there's also in lane 6 Madeline Schmidt, who's still close by, yes.
Yeah, really exciting here to see. So Toshka Beshara in lane 2, one of the younger athletes in the field, just pushing the pace as well and trying to make a move here in the second half. Again, long, powerful stroke. Toshka's known for her speed, but really proficient at the 200 and the 500. So exciting to see her up there with some of the top senior athletes. We're just getting to the finish line here. It looks like Michelle Russell will take this win, and Riley Melanson just coming back here to take the 1-2 for Chima, followed by Natalie coming in third place. Too close after for 4th, 5th, and 6th between some of the athletes here. But great 500 for a number of the athletes. Double win for Michelle in the K1 500 from yesterday to today, and looking really good for that K2 of Michelle and Riley. That will compete a little bit later today.
And it's a very strong comeback from Riley Melanson, who decided she wanted second place on this race. Talking about first and second place, we do have the results of men's K1 500 senior. They just came And in first place, it was a pretty clear finish, but in first place we have Simon McTavish from Mississauga with a time of 1:43.4. Second place, we have Pierre-Luc Poulain from Lac-Beauport with a 1:44.6. In third place, we have Nick Matviv with from Balmy Beach with a 1:45.2. And fourth place goes to Vincent Jourdain from Trois-Rivières with a 1:48.0. And Balmy Beach, Cameron Lowe takes fifth place with a 1:48.3. Very good race. Interesting to see all these athletes fight it out on a distance that they are more used in crew boats than in K1s.
Yeah, and this race concludes our set of A finals for this morning. We'll now move into the B finals for women's C1, men's C1, men's K1, and women's K1. So you're looking here at the start list for the women's C1 500 meter B final. In lane 3, we'll have Abigail Campbell from Scotia. In lane 4, Tegan Tyrell from Mississauga. In lane 5, Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Parent de Trois-Rivières. And in lane 6, Emma Yule from Scotia as well. So great to see these athletes competing on a number of them at home and just pushing the pace here as they tried to make their way into the A final and now have the opportunity to compete against each other in the B final of the 500 meter race.
And lots of experience to be gained from the girls who decided to join these trials because they were close to their home. And 500 meter is never easy, but like I said, they'll gain some insight on how to race it and how to finish strong. So interesting, fun race this morning.
And once again, just a bit of a smaller field, as not all the women's canoe in Canada or that are national level are competing at these trials. Really focused on the senior level ones and some of the athletes who locally wanted to get the opportunity to race. So it should be an exciting race here as we start the season. But expect that as we get to the second set of trials and towards nationals, the field will continue to grow. As more and more athletes have their summer underway and they're ready to race. But a great start here, as we can see from some of the middle lanes. And Sophie really taking it out really hard. Same with Tegan in the middle lane here. So it'll be great to see a long 500 as they're coming through. Really working on efficiency, trying to keep that boat glide, as you can see. Stroke rate keeping high and making sure that you don't start sitting back and making the boat slow down, especially as you hit the halfway point and everything starts to hurt.
And the easy thing in the 500 meter is to focus on your competitors. So right now we can see Tegan and Anne-Sophie are very, very close by to each other, and sometimes it can play on your mind, so you have to focus on what you're doing and not think too much, not get too excited by what the other person is doing, because 500 meter it's pushing throughout. So if you start too fast and you don't have enough energy to finish the race, well, you might end up in a bad position. And it seems like Anne-Sophie has managed to keep up the pace, and Tegan had to drop because of maybe too strong of a start. And Sophie, she has more experience on this kind of race, more years on the of paddling, and it seems like she's using this experience really, really well. And so it's more about keeping strong strokes until the end. And it seems like Anne-Sophie is doing really well. Tegan is starting to get a little bit of wash, but she's doing well too. And Emma, Yule, and Abigail are just keeping up. And it's not an easy race for sure. and a solid win for Anne-Sophie. Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Parent from Trois-Rivières, followed by Tegan Tyrrell from, sorry,
From Mississauga.
sorry. And then there's Emma Yule from Sakawa, and followed by Abigail Campbell from Sakawa. We have just received the times from the women's K1 500 meters senior second final. We did get Michelle Russell from Chima with a 2:01.0 in first place, followed by also Chima, Riley Melanson, 2:01.9, and in third place, Natalie Davison from Rideau with a 2:02.3. Then again, Rideau with Toshka Beshara, she got a 2:02.9, and lastly, in fifth place, we have Madeline Schmidt from Rideau with a 2:03.4.
Yeah, great race here in this B final. We're about to get started here in the men's canoe C1 500 B final, and in lane 1 we'll have Sakawa's Matthew McDonald. In lane 2, Aidan Martel from Masqua. In lane 3, Peter Bradley from Rideau. In lane 4, the winner of our B final yesterday in the 1,000 meter, Edgar Dessy from Lac-Beauport. In lane 5, Edouard Beaumier de Trois-Rivières. In lane 6, Nick Barrett from Sonobe. Lane 7, Seamus Cote-Moss from Masqua. In lane 8, Alex Neves from Masqua as well. And in lane 9, Jack McNeil from Sakawa. So a strong field here in this B final. Some athletes very close to making it to the A final in the semifinals. So they'll be eager to kind of put their mark on this race and try to take the win here.
And some of these athletes tend to be faster at shorter distance because, as it always happens, and in the past, men's canoe were only on 1,000 meter distance, and as you mentioned earlier, the C2 distance has changed. So for them, this is an opportunity for some of them, and I'm sure we'll see lots of fighting. Seems like we have a strong start from the middle lanes, with Edgar Dessy in lane 4 and Edouard Beaumier in lane 5, and lane 6, Nick Baird. These guys are really, really strong. It will be interesting to see who can keep up the pace until the end. And as you mentioned, Edgar Dessy is our B final in 1,000 meter winner from yesterday. So, is he able to translate the pace he had yesterday, the race plan he had yesterday, to this shorter distance? It seems like he's doing really well so far, and Edouard and Nick Baird keeping up pretty closely behind.
Yeah, and Edouard, really, really fast sprinter, holds some of the records in the 200-meter discipline. Remember watching him do the double in junior and senior at the Nationals in Regina, which was really, really impressive and kind of coming out of nowhere. So certainly the guy has speed, and then the 500 might just be a little bit long for him here, but as he'll keep progressing and developing, we'll see that translate with more and more kilometers. So really great to see him out here in this 500.
And we also have Peter Bradley from Rideau in lane 3 coming from behind and trying to get on that podium. So seems like Edgar Dessy does have first place right now. He's in the lead, but closely behind we have a fight for second and third place. So Edgar Dessy did come first, Edouard Beaumier did come second, and Peter Bradley did come third. we can see these athletes finishing the race.
Behind the big boats there.
Congratulations to all the athletes. It's having a different distance can be difficult to adjust to, and they did amazing this morning. Congratulations to all of them. We have confirmation for the results of the previous race, so the B final of women's C1 500 meter senior. And so in first place, we did get Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Parent with a 2 minutes 33 seconds. In second place, we did get Tegan Tyrrell from Mississauga with a 2 minutes 41.6 seconds. And in lane 3 from Sakawa, in third position from Sakawa, Emma Yule, and in fourth position from Sakawa also, Abigail Campbell. Preparing for this next race, men's senior K1 500 meter B final, we have in lane 1 from Banook, Jack Hall. In lane 2 from Richmond Hill, David Stewart. In lane 3 from Trois-Rivières, Nathan Connet. In lane 4 from Trois-Rivières, Mathieu Gilbert. In lane 5 from Carlton Place, we have Aidan Dumont. In lane 6 from Masqua, we have Alexander Scott. In lane 7 from Balmy Beach, we have Lucas Stein. And in lane 8 from Pointe Claire, we have Justin Lavigne. In lane 9 from Rideau, we have Alexander Ofrek.
Again, a really strong field of a number of athletes that would have competed at the Olympic Hopes or the Junior or U23 Worlds. Some at Senior Worlds as well. So great to see a strong field here at these trials in this B final of the men's K1 500 meters to get underway in just a few seconds as we get ready here to conclude some of the B finals this morning. Again, very good, clean conditions. A little bit of a headwind now that's supposed to be coming today, so not overly fast times. But fair racing conditions at this wind. It looks fairly straight at the moment, and we have a start here in this men's K1 500 meter B final. Should be an exciting one as you see some of the athletes jump right out to the front. Those who have more of a 200 meter background stretching to the 500, and then some of the 1,000 meter athletes that are coming down to the 500 will have a second half that will be really strong. So looks like Alex Scott here in one of the outside lanes, just really pushing the start in the first few meters.
Seems like right now we have a fight for first place between Jack Hall in lane 1, Nathan Connet in lane 3, and like you mentioned, Alexander Scott in lane 6. Fighting it out for first place, but it's everyone's game because 500 meter, like you mentioned, the 1,000 meter guy might come back really hard in the second half. So we'll see who goes for the podium.
Yeah, and we're seeing that here. Strong second half as the field's starting to reel in Alex a little bit. See if he can hold on after that really, really strong start. Alex is a very, very, very strong 200 meter athlete on the program for a number of years and stretching here to the 500 and getting ready for some K2 this afternoon. So interesting to see if the last 100 he'll be able to pull this off here in the B final. Again, all these athletes here, while we might see the stroke rate go up, we might see them trying to accelerate. It's really about who decelerates the least as everyone's starting to lose speed and we get closer to the last few meters. But really trying to stay efficient, and we're seeing Alex here just edging this out and keeping it from lane 1 here. So what a great race from the outside from Jack Hall from Banook coming into second in this B final here.
Indeed, and we could see in lane 7 and 8, Lucas Stein from Balmy Beach and Justin Lavigne from Pointe Claire coming back and really trying to get close. It's hard to say because after first and second, everyone was so close, and we can see in first place, seems like Alexander Scott got it, and then in second place, Jack Hall from Banook did seem to get second, but after that it was very close between lanes 7, 8, and 4.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait for the results. And in the meantime, we do have the senior men's C1 500 meter results and confirmed. So Edgar did take the win, so double win in the B final for Edgar from Lac Beauport in 2:03.6. Edouard Beaumier de Trois-Rivières in second place in a 2:05.8, and Peter Bradley in 2:06.5, rounding up the top three. So kudos to all those athletes who will now go in and start to recover and start thinking about their crew boat races that will be coming a little bit later today, heats and semifinals, and then finals tomorrow morning. We're just about to get underway in the senior men's K1 C final. So we just saw the B final, and as you can see, the athletes are starting to line up here for the C final. Bigger field in the men's kayak discipline here this week. So we have a number of additional finals here to showcase for all of you at home. So in lane 1, we'll have Keaton Brown from Chima. In lane 2, Eli Nolan from Canoe. In lane 3, Jérôme Desrosiers MacArthur from Lac Beauport. In lane 4, Raphaël Côté de Lac Beauport. In lane 5, Cole Parsons from Banook. In lane 6, Alexander Ivanov from Richmond Hill. In lane 7, Jérémy Gagnon du Lac Beauport. In lane 8, Alex Erith Elwood from Canoe. And in lane 9, Devin Joy from Chima. Again, lane 1 closest to us on the right-hand side, and lane 9 on the far side.
And you mentioned earlier that it is a headwind right now, and headwind, as much as it slows down the field, it makes for a very strong kind of technique, because you have to be very, very solid, and this wind gives you more stability, if we can say it like that. And these athletes may be disappointed that it's a headwind because they want to be fast, but at least they'll be paddling well and strong in this kind of headwind.
Yeah, certainly no detriment here to the boat glide, as it's a fairly light headwind overall. It appears to be, so certainly adds to Laurent's point a little bit of connection. You really feel your boat going through the water and through the wind. So great start here from some of these athletes. As we can see the C final getting underway. Again, anyone's race here. We saw some athletes from lane 1 and lane 9 and lane 8 do really well. So I think middle lanes typically have a bit of an advantage from the seating perspective. That's how they would have been ranked from the semifinals. But don't count anybody out from the outside lanes this morning in some of these finals.
And we can see a strong start from lane 3, Jérôme Desrosiers, and lane 6, I believe, Alexander Ivanov. And like you mentioned, and we saw in the last race, anyone can come back from, well, they're not even far behind. They're just right there. So anyone can come back. So these guys that are in the lead right now have to keep up if they want to stay there and get on the podium.
Yeah, definitely a big difference from the 200, where you lose a stroke, you may lose the race. In the 500, there's a little bit more flexibility to really put down a strong race plan. So if you're not as strong of a starter, you may have a second half that allows you to come back in this race. Whereas if you're a really strong starter, you may want to use that for your advantage and just jump ahead and try to hold on. So we're seeing both strategies kind of at play here in these 500 meter finals this morning.
Indeed, like losing a stroke might not be the end of the world in a 500 meter, but it is way more mental race, because you have to make sure you follow your plan that is made for you. Like you said, starters start faster, and then people who are better in the second half will make sure they have enough energy. And right now we'll see whose plan paid off the best. So it seems like in lane 6 and lane 3 did keep up their lead, and lane 6 Alexander Ivanov from Richmond Hill first place, and in lane 3 Jérôme Desrosiers MacArthur from Lac Beauport, who did seem to get second, and then third and fourth. Everyone came so close behind. It's going to be more of a photo finish, I believe, for those athletes.
Yeah, really looking in the slow motion here, it might be lane 5 just edging out lane 4 and 7, but who knows? We'll have to wait for that to get confirmed. So you can see athletes completely spent here on and really trying to catch their breath as they're full of lactic acid and really really difficult to just get back to the dock with all the energy they would have spent at this point. But they'll be all right. They do this in training all the time, and there's a good safety out there anyways if anything were to happen. So good to see these athletes paddling away, getting ready to go, and then thinking about what's coming next. But great showing here in the C final. In the meantime, we do have the results confirmed for the B final. Alexander Scott taking the win from Masqua in a 151.1. Jack Hall closely behind from Banook in a 151.3. And then Lucas Stein from Balmy Beach coming in third place in a 151.9. So very close finish, all in the same second here for the top three in this B final. In just a few minutes, we'll get underway with the D final, of the men's K1 500 meters. Yesterday, that final was scratched, so we'll wait to see if this is actually happening this morning. It would be a final with only 2 athletes, if I'm not mistaken, from Scotia. So we'll just wait and see and make sure that this race is actually happening. If not, we will be ready to get underway with the women's K1 500 meter B final in just a few minutes. So a nice shot here from the Banook Canoe Club at the bottom of Lake Banook. For those who haven't been, as we pan out, we get a look at where all the boats and athletes are located, and then the finish tower. The blue building on your right is where the National Team Training Center is based out of, and the Atlantic Division as well. So familiar sights for a number of these athletes that are on the water or people watching at home, but certainly a great facility here at the training center based in Atlantic in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, it is a very nice training center, and this is where most of the athletes training in the Atlantic Division, like you said, national team athletes, sometimes they're centered in different provinces, but athletes who train in Nova Scotia, they're either training in this center here or at the Masqua Canoe Club. And it's a lovely training center. I've been there. I've been training there for a number of years in the past, and very, very nice. The only downside of this site is actually that there's often a lot of wind, but it gives you a lot of experience for later competitions when you go on the international scene and you don't always have the conditions you want. And so it seems. Yeah, it seems, I don't know, we don't have any news about it, but the race for the D final would be starting right about now. If we don't have any view of the line, it might mean that the athletes decided to scratch. It seems like it might be the case, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have 5 more minutes and then we'll get started in the women's K1 B final for the 500 meters. Again, athletes would have raced this event yesterday, and this is a second opportunity for them to kind of put their mark, really get their season started in the way that they want before they start focusing on the K2 500, which will take place a little bit later today with a final set for tomorrow morning. So a lot of experience in this B final as we're getting ready to get underway in just about 4 minutes now. In lane 1, we'll have Haley Plante from Balmy Beach. In lane 2, Brooklyn Woodhouse from Richmond Hill. In lane 3, Sarah Nagy from Richmond Hill. In lane 4, Alana Bray-Lougheed from Burloak. In lane 5, Anna Negulich from Masqua. In lane 6, Lily Barrett from Sinobi. Lane 7, Madison McKenzie du Lac-Beauport. In lane 8, Alexa Irvin from Masqua. And in lane 9, Samantha Stein from Balmy Beach. So should be a really strong field with anybody's race really out there for the taking.
And you mentioned a few names. Lots of these women right now, they're going to be racing in a short 2.5 hours for their K2 eats, and this is going to be very interesting to see because qualifying the crew boats is a job separate from the K1s, right? So it's really important that everyone who's racing this afternoon or tomorrow for the crew boats keeps a little bit of energy at least. So it's going to be interesting who's going to give everything they have in this B final, or who's going to keep up a little bit of that energy for later during the heats.
No, for sure. It's a management game in some cases, and then ensuring that you're ready to go when you have to. Fortunately, the final for the K2 is tomorrow, so it gives plenty of time for people to rest and be fully fresh and not give an advantage to anyone who may not be racing this or may have been done racing for a while now. So all these athletes are pretty comfortable going all out and having to recover and having to do it again a few hours or the next day. So certainly that's because of a lot of training that they would have done and just training and putting their bodies through this kind of effort in the past. But we're getting a nice shot here of all these women getting ready to race this women's K1 500B final. We'll go through the start list one more time as we get closer to getting going, just so everyone at home has a good understanding of who is who and who is where in just a few minutes as we get ready to get going. As mentioned, a bit of a headwind this morning that's picking up a little bit, so time should be a little bit slower. We spoke earlier about the impact that a headwind has, just making you feel a bit more solid, but also making the race a little bit longer. So you kind of have to plan your effort and adjust your race plan a tiny bit, but not much of a difference here for these athletes. These conditions not too challenging for them to handle this morning. Yeah. So again, in lane one we'll have. In lane one, we'll have Haley Plant. In lane two, Brooklyn Woodhouse. In lane three, Sarah Nagy. Lane four, Alana Bray-Lahi. Lane five, Anna Negulich. Lane six, Lily Barrett. Lane seven, Madison McKenzie. Lane eight, Alexa Irvin. And in lane nine, Samantha Stein, as they're just entering the start blocks here and getting ready to go in this B final of the women's K1 500 meters.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few times closest to us is lane 1 and furthest away is lane 9, just to make sure everyone has a good idea of the way the lanes work. So it seems the race has been given, the start has been given. Very strong start. We can see everyone has different strategies. So sometimes we have athletes who have a really fast pace out of the gates, and some athletes get quickly into a middle kind of speed. And it seems like lane 4, 5, and 7. Yes, lane 4, 5, and 7 have had a really good start, closely followed by lane 1 and 2, closest to us.
It looks like Anna Negulich taking the lead here early in this race, really trying to set her mark as we're going through. Again, the first 150 meters just gone now. Starts to think about this acceleration, this pickup that may happen in the middle of the race when athletes feel like they just need this extra little bit of energy. Seeing the experience of Alana now just starting to play a little bit, a lot more glide in her boat as she's bringing it through it here at halfway through the race and entering the last 200. So it's certainly a good fight right now between these two boats here at the front, between Alana and Anna, trying to duke it out for the win.
Two really, really good athletes, and it's going to be who can fight it until the end the most. I believe for third place there seems to be a fight going on between lane 2 from Richmond Hill, Brooklyn with us, and lane 7, I believe, Madison McKenzie. We're coming on to the last 100 meter, and we will see shortly if Alana's experience came in play, or if Anna Negulich was able to keep up until the end. And it seems like Alana Bray-Lahi from Banook takes first place, closely followed by Anna Negulich from Mascot, and third place is a very close fight between lane 3 and 7, Sarah Nagy and Madison McKenzie.
It's a great shot here of Alana just completing her B final, taking the win here in this race. Certainly not the final that she wants to be in, but great showing here after yesterday's result, and she'll start thinking about the K2 ahead. But great fight here with Anna Negulic from Masqua in the top 2 position of this final.
Yeah, very good comeback from Alana. Well, comeback. Very good fight till the end. And it's very, very close. It's hard to say with the finish line who got third place. I don't remember. Did we give the results for the C final of men's K1 500 meter?
No, I was thinking the same. You can go ahead.
Okay, we have confirmation that in first place we have from Richmond Hill Alexander Ivanov with a 1:53.3 seconds. In the second place we have from Lac-Beauport Jérôme Desrosiers MacArthur with a 1:54.0, closely followed by a Banook's Cole Parson with a 1:54.8, and fourth place Jeremy Gagnon from Lac-Beauport, and fifth place Raphaël Côté from Lac-Beauport also. And getting ready
to get underway in the C final of the women's K1 500 meters. So in lane 1, we'll have Julia Demchuk from Calgary. In lane 2, Lucy McLeod from Micmac. Lane 3 is Ali Wang from Lachine. In lane 4, Anna Mbongo from Sonobe. In lane 5, Christiane Free from Calgary. In lane 6, Olivia Denman from Micmac. Lane 7, Marie-Pierre Ali from Lachine. Lane 8, Anna O'Brien from Sonobe. And in lane 9, Charlotte Bray of Lachine as well. So again, strong field here of some of the up-and-coming stars in the women's K1 500 meter event that are getting ready for their second final, as they would have raced this event yesterday morning as well. Slightly different conditions. Yesterday, a bit of a tailwind when they would have started some of their races, and now moving into a bit of a headwind. So a bit of everything for them through this trials here for the 500 meter distance.
And the start has been given. It's very strong start from everyone. Seems like a very close fight for the lead right here, with lane 5 taking a slight lead, and maybe lane 9 very close, and lane 6, but it's lane 5 in the lead with Christiane Free, but followed very closely by all of the ladies in this race.
So great conditions for these athletes this morning. Slight headwind there as they're approaching 150 meters, 200 meters done in their race. Those big orange buoys that you'll see coming up on the race course are the 200 meter start line. So certainly a good marker for all these athletes to go through, knowing that they have to make sure they're keeping their stroke rate up, keeping the pace going. Different strategies at plays, as you see. Faster stroke rate in lane 5, lane 6, Olivia just a little bit longer strokes and just continuing the glide. And then we'll see who can actually keep this through in the second half here. This is where it starts to really burn, and really you're trying to just keep your boat gliding as much as possible, not disrupting the flow of the boat, and just trying to keep your technique together as everything starts to hurt and fall apart.
And it seems like Ali Wang, who won her D final yesterday, seems to be coming back and to try to get the lead for today's final.
Yeah, so big jump from the D final yesterday to the C final today for Ali. So great to see a bit of a jump there and seeing some progression through the week. Nice shot here from the front of, again, Ali on the left, and then but looks like Olivia may have just come back in the second half to take that win away from Ali and Christiane in the middle there. So great race for the top 3 there in the C final of this women's K1 500 meters.
Yeah, amazing race from everyone, pushing this difficult distance until the end, and like you said, seems like Olivia Denman did get first, followed by Ali Wong, and in third place seems to be Christian Free from Calgary.
Yeah, and we got confirmation of the results for the B final of the women's K1 500 meters. So Alana Bray-Lougheed from Berloque taking the win in a 2:05.5, followed by Masquaz Auna Negulich in a 2:06.5, and Sarah Nagy coming in third place in a 2:09.3. Madison McKenzie, fourth place, 2:09.39, just 0.07 behind Sarah Nagy. So very, very close finish for third place. Brooklyn Woodhouse coming in fifth and a 2:09.6. So strong showing from these top 5 athletes here in the B final.
Yeah. And getting ready for this last final of women's K1 500 meter. In the D final, we have in lane 3 Océane Marchand from Trois-Rivières. In lane 4, we have Rain Myers from Masqua Aquatic Club. In lane 5, we have Molly Rusenak-Short from Cenobi. In lane 6, we have Fiona O'Donnell from Cenobi. And in lane 7, we have Brianna Smith from Masqua.
Yeah, so young athletes here lining up. A number of them, this might be their first trials, so just getting the experience in and making sure that they learn from this as they're continuing their progression towards some of the national level competition and the international level competition that may be coming down their way as they continue to progress their paddling career. So great to see four finals here in the women's K1 race, showing some good depth of the entire program and of the club system across Canada.
Yeah, it's always nice to see that the younger athletes are there, and there's a really good a good field from younger athletes to get their experience and come in the next few years. It's lovely to see, and I'm sure we'll have a really, really strong national teams in the next few years.
Yeah, so certainly names that you're seeing in the B, C, and D finals are names to keep in mind for the future in the next 4 to 6 years as we look beyond Paris, look towards LA in 2028. All these athletes will start thinking about potentially making their way to that Olympic or Paralympic team.
And good start from all the ladies here. Seems like lane 6, Fiona O'Donnell is taking the lead, but it's not one at all, because in lane 3 we have from Colombia we have Océane Marchand trying to get on that podium, and lane 4 Rain Myers from Masqua, and it's going to be a fight until the end. So nothing is won right as of now.
Yeah, certainly a good race here in the first 200 meters as people kind of fall back into their race plan, ensuring they're keeping the glide of their boat going. Different strategies, you kind of have to lean into what works for you and just kind of let the race come to you and keep fighting throughout. It's easy mentally to just want to slow down when it starts to hurt and the brain tells you to slow, but you kind of have to push through all of that to really keep the power on the blade, keep the stroke rate as high as you need, and keep your technique together, especially in the last 200, which is what those athletes have just entered now with those big orange buoys. So coming to the last 150 now, really putting your head down, continuing to breathe properly, keeping your rate up, your hands high, and just ensuring that you're not shortening your strokes too much as you drive towards the finish line.
Yeah, and entering the last 100 meter here, we'll see athletes trying to accelerate or at least not decelerate their stroke rate and keep pushing until the end. It seems like in lane 4, Rain Myers is really trying to push for the lead here. And we'll have to see with the different view who's going to make it in first place. But at this point, these ladies are really tired and just trying to survive until the last few meters. And Rain Myers did come back to take the lead with Fiona O'Donnell taking second place, and third place going to Océane Marchand from Trois-Rivières.
And great to see some familiar boats out there as well that would be kind of purchased from some of the older national team athletes. So looking at some boats that you would have recognized from a few years ago from the trials that would have been in the A final with Emilie Fournel or others. I think we saw a few other boats that might be recognizable from Andréane as well down here and others. So great to see those kind of carrying on to the next generation and bringing those athletes up at the national level.
Yeah. And we have the confirmation that we got the results for the women's K1 500 meter C final. And so in first place, taking the lead with a 2 minutes 10 seconds 0.4 is from Micmac Olivia Denman. Second place goes to Lachine's Ali Wang with a 2 minutes 11.0 seconds, and third place goes to Christian Free from Calgary with a very close behind with a 2 minutes 11.4, and fourth place goes to Lachine Charlotte Bray 2:13.0, and fifth place goes to Cenobi's Anna Mongo with a 2 minutes 13.6 seconds.
Great, and thanks, Laurence. And that kind of concludes the block of the B and C finals that we had. Our next event's going to take place in about 12 minutes at 9:25 local time, and it'll be the third final of the Para race that you would have seen on Monday and on Tuesday. So we'll have athletes such as Ben Brown from Masqua, Yves Bourque from Shawinigan, Mathieu St. Pierre, the Shawinigan, Jacob Woods from Masqua, Brianna Hennessy, who competed this morning already from Ottawa River, and then Erica Scarf from Mississauga. So exciting race. It will certainly be a race within a race, as a number of these athletes will be competing in the same race, but are from different classifications from the Paralympics kind of context. So we'll go through all that when we get closer to the event.
And we also got the results for the D final, and we saw on the finish line there, Rain Myers from Masqua took the lead with a 2:17.2, and closely followed by Fiona O'Donnell with a 2:17.8 from Cenobi, and third place goes to Trois-Rivières Océane Marchand with a 2:19.4. Followed by Molly Rusinac-Short from Cenobi with a 2:20.1, and lastly, Matt from Masqua, Brianna Smith with a 2:21.7. Congratulations to all athletes. This is, not an easy distance, and it's great to see them giving everything they have until the end. Amazing race from them.
And we'll get ready to get underway in about 10 minutes here. This next race will be a 200-meter event, so we just have to move the starter and all the safety and everything towards the 200 meters as we get ready for our last final of the day, I believe, or at least our last final of this morning with this Para final 3. This morning we had some technical difficulties and couldn't showcase the first final, which was the Para KL final 3, in which we had the chance to see Gabrielle Ferrand-Boyer take the win from Rito and Stefan Samoila from Balmy Beach take second place. Our Brianna Hennessy, who will be featured in our upcoming event, was third in from Ottawa River. Again, different classifications, so there's results within the race, but really for all these athletes as they're going through their 4 finals this weekend, the goal is putting down some good times, getting down some experience, and ensuring that they put their top performance out there for the selection committee to consider ahead of the World Cups and eventually the World Championships that will take place on Lake Banook at the end of the summer.
And for these athletes, it is a really good experience to race against each other, although they are not from the same category, because it gives them the chance to practice against other people before going to the international scene, where they'll have a lot more people against them. So it's fun for them to, it's experience for them to be racing against each other, although they're different gender and different categories.
Yeah, certainly a good way to push performance upwards, and I mean it's not uncommon. I think in training groups, anyways, women's canoe and men's canoe typically train together. Crew boats and singles of different categories train together. So certainly a lot of that's something that clubs and the national team employs all the time to raise the level of a group. So not uncommon to see that as well in a race to ensure that it is raising the stakes and just making sure that everyone has the best chance to put their best performance forward. So great to see that there's a number of athletes here that we can have a strong field in multiple of the classifications for this upcoming VA race. Again, the VA race, we have some additional categories for the Paralympics that will be coming in, or that did come in for Tokyo. So it's very exciting that the para program is continuing to expand, and we're seeing that in Canada as well, with more and more clubs launching their para programs, launching their special O programs, and just kind of expanding the amount of athletes that can enjoy the sport of paddling and all the way to the top levels. So kudos to all the clubs that took the lead early on, thinking of the Balmy Beach Canoe Club and thinking of Chima and others like that would have really stepped in and created some of the early para and special O programs, and now move into it's becoming more mainstream, and all clubs seem to be going that way, which is awesome to see, and it's just really about time. And as we get ready to go here in about 7 minutes, you'll have the chance to see VA races, which is really similar to the canoe, with athletes using a single blade, having a bit of a pontoon on the side of their boat for stability, and then just an exciting other boat category that athletes have to race. I actually had the chance to paddle in a VA or before, and it's quite challenging even from a canoe background. So certainly not an easier task from anyone out there, and especially with the various mobility challenges that some of these athletes have, finding the right setup, finding what works, and finding what maximizes performance is certainly part of the challenge here that is facing all of these athletes. Great conditions, however, today, which is a little bit better than what we would have seen in the last few days. So we should get a little bit of fairer racing for everyone here.
And we can see some athletes leaving the Banook Canoe Club for a spin in their K2, because later today, in about 2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes, there will be the starting heats for the crew boats races. So we can see some athletes going for a spin, going to flush out the remnants of their race from this morning, making sure they are ready to do those very, very important races that leads to the finals tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and again, all these crew boat races will now be 500. That is the new Olympic program. Men's K2 and men's C2 used to be 1,000 meters, are now 500 meters. Women's C2 was already a 500, so remaining that, and the women's K2 also was already a 500. So now we have distance equivalence across all genders and discipline in the K2s and the C2s, and then we can now see on your screen the start list from the Parava final 3. So in lane 1, we'll have Benjamin Brown from Masqua. Then we'll have an empty lane, and you'll see empty lanes to be able to kind of create space between the various categories that we have racing. So in lane 3, we have Yves Bourque from Shawinigan. In lane 4, Mathieu Saint-Pierre, Paralympian from Tokyo, from Shawinigan as well. Lane 5, Jacob Woods from Masqua. Lane 7, again, a gap lane between 5 and 7, Brianna Hennessy, Paralympian from Tokyo, and Erica Scarf in lane 8 from Mississauga, a Paralympian from Rio, and one of the athletes that was there at the first Paralympics that included paddling. So great to see kind of a mix of a lot of experience, a lot of international experience, and some athletes that are competing really for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, at the national level in Ben Brown here, experience in para athletics and making a bit of a transition to paddling here for this season.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, there are a lot of these athletes are mostly from different categories, and so we even Brianna and Erica are different categories. So Erica is a VL3 category, while Brianna is a VL2. Oh wait, no, wait, yeah. And then, sorry, and then we have Yves Bourque, Mathieu Saint-Pierre, and Jacob Woods are all three of them are VL2, and then Benjamin Brown, I believe, is a VL1, right?
Yep, that's correct. So Erica VL3, Brianna VL2, Yves, Jacob, and Stefan Yves, Jacob, and Mathieu are VL2s, and then Ben is a VL1. So you got those all right. But yeah, races within the race, really everyone here is competing against themselves, trying to put their best time forward, and really their best performance. The winds seem to have died down a little bit more if you're looking at the water at this point. It is a cool 5 degrees, a little bit warmer actually than last year. Doesn't seem to affect Mathieu, who's out there rocking a tank top, I think, which is his typical race attire. So cool to see that he's just out there braving the elements and getting ready to go.
Yeah, Mathieu is a although newer to the sport, well, newer in the last few years, he's a very, very experienced canoer because he used to do a lot of long distance canoeing. And like you mentioned, we have on the line 3 Paralympians, including Mathieu, Brianna, and Erica from Rio. And these athletes, have a lot of experience. I know Erica just decided to try with Va. She was in kayak before, and so it's a change, but I'm sure everyone's ready to do this race today and happy to be doing it.
Yeah, and one of the differences, you may see some of the athletes switch sides with their blade. So in C1 you wouldn't see some of that happening. Here some of the athletes actually use that, and that's similar to the long distance racing where you see some of the athletes switch sides with their partners quite often. Some of them will stick to the same side. It kind of depends on comfort and how much you need to steer and adjust your boat. But yeah, just a little bit of a difference here if you've never seen VA racing before.
Yeah.
So athletes are just making their way here into the blocks, and we'll get ready to get started in this 200 meter third final of the VA category.
Yeah. And reminder, in lane 1 closest to us, we have from Masqua Benjamin Brown. Lane 3 from Shawinigan, we have Yves Bourque. Lane 4 from Shawinigan, we have Mathieu Saint-Pierre. Lane 5 from Masqua, we have Jacob Woods. And lane 7 from Ottawa, we have Brianna Hennessy. And lane 8, furthest away from us, we have from Mississauga, Erica Scarf.
Here we go, so great start. We can see the power of these athletes. Like Mathieu just really running through, and then you can see Brianna's super high stroke rate as she's blasting off the line here in the black boat on the far side. Great long strokes here from Ben. You can see switching sides, keeping the boat straight, really making sure that he's using the power that he can on the blade and bring that forward. Mathieu here in the white boat, just stretching his lead. As you know, he's very, very experienced, one of the top paddlers in the world in this category. So great to have him here as a bit of an indication of how fast the world is going for all of these athletes.
And we'll see shortly. It is pretty clear Mathieu is in the lead, but it's very interesting to see who's coming in second. Seems like Brianna is making it with her very, very high stroke, and followed by Yves Bourque and Erica Scarf, and then Jacob Woods coming in fifth.
Yeah, what a great race from all these athletes, and we're gonna see just Ben just coming in. This is his first set of trials racing in here, trying this out this year, and really putting a lot of power, long strokes, driving this boat forward. So what a great performance from Ben here. Again, coming from a para athletics background, I remember Ben training with us at the Canada Games Center in the wheelchair on the track in the winter. So certainly got the chance to see him make a transition from para athletics to the paddling now, which is so great to see. A nice shot here of the athletes. You can really get a feel for the boat, right? Like understanding kind of the setup, the pontoon on the side, Athletes really are a little bit higher in this boat and have different supports depending on their needs as they kind of conclude here their race. And again, every single athlete here has unique opportunities and unique things that they have to address as they're getting ready to put their best performance. Certainly a great program that we have under the leadership of Mark Kramer here, really given the opportunity to all the athletes to really perform as much as possible. And yes, very, very exciting to see that coming forward.
And we have the confirmation for the last race of the last final of the day, so the Parava third final, and confirmation that Mathieu Saint-Pierre from Shawinigan did come first with a 1:09. And second place goes to Brianna Hennessy from Ottawa with a 1:05.8. Third place goes to Yves Bourque from Shawinigan with a 1:06.8. Erica Scarfs gets fourth place from Mississauga with a 1:07.0. Jacob Woods takes fifth with a 1:07.8 from Moscow. And finally, Benjamin Brown, like you mentioned, first time doing trials, takes sixth with a 1:26.8.
Yeah, and again, we wouldn't have mentioned, but Eve also some international experience. Eve would have gone to multiple Para-Nordic games in skiing, so certainly cross sport experience and all that. So great to see such a good field. And this will do it for us this morning in the coverage for this morning. So thanks for joining us. There's a number of races that will still be going on Lake Banook. You can find the results through the CKC app for all the crew boats events that will be coming. Finals will take place tomorrow, and we'll join you again to cover those finals tomorrow morning. For all of us, thank you very much for joining. Thanks, Laurence, for joining the broadcast and sharing your knowledge of the sport, your experience, and your energy this morning, making this really fun for me and also for everyone at home who got to enjoy this remotely today. Any closing words, Laurence?
Amazing day of racing from everyone. Super proud to see them and be able to watch them, and I feel very privileged. And so thank you very much for having me, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck out there, and thanks for supporting remotely if you had to. Great day of paddling out there, and more to come. Have a great day, everybody.
The song our paddles sing in the stillness tells the story of a country. It's a song born here that echoes through history. A note to distance, the unknown. We sweat, burn, push, and fight, not for money, glory, or accolades, because it reminds us of who we are. Screw loose daredevils and romantic obsessives, most ourselves in the rage and the whip and the whirl, or the reflective silence before the gun goes.